Hi, Gopal. Hey, Marco. How you doing today?
Good morning.
Hello, I'm doing well.
Good morning and good evening to both of you. Thanks for joining. This is
Yeah,
yeah, I think this is really fun. I think it's the first time I've kind of had people from two different companies and industries both coming in to join onto this. So this is going to be a really fun topic. Gopal, I know that we've worked together a lot, and you're the founder of Blue Mold, who's been doing the all the work with InfoRiver, and I've done some live streams as well with Matt Allington about this. But I think this is going to be a really good topic today on kind of the conversation within your tool set of a kind of an easy visual based formula language that I'm really excited to be covering today. And then I know, Marco, you're going to be providing some expertise for us. But Gopal, do you want to give a little bit of an introduction to yourself before we get started?
No, thank you, Raid, and good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I know there is a lot of interest about InfoRiver, but it has taken several years to kind of get closer to the vision. And I founded Visual BI, an organization that was primarily focused on data and analytics, and we were serving a lot of customers, both in terms of implementing data warehouses, primarily in the SAP BI market, and then we also specialized in doing a lot of custom visuals and custom solutions for SAP BI market in the first 7 years. And we have seen a lot of customers over the years, go to cloud data warehouses like Snowflake. We have seen customers move to self-service BI tools like Power BI and Tableau and Click. We have seen it all. And we saw the transition about 4 years back where customers were heavily moving towards cloud data warehouses. And then we saw the massive surge of Power BI. So about 4 years back, we moved to Power BI, but we saw the pain of a lot of the end users. Even though Microsoft owns Excel, everybody's still downloading to Excel, and people still loving other BI tools and not able to fully adopt. So we chose to heavily invest, and InfoRiver is. I wanted to thank the community, especially the Power BI MVP community, and especially Reid. I wanted to thank you. You've been immense help for the last 2 years. The product is here today. It's very easy to say, but I know Matt has done that. I also want to thank Imke from the BI accountant from Germany. She has been pretty early on, about 2 years, to help us resolve a lot of make sure our calculations, visual formulas were right. And Marco has been, how do I say, I want to thank Marco in a very special way, because he's, in one way, he's a competitor who makes a living based on selling DAX. And here, he's going to talk about his own idea about visual formulas and critique it, the pros and cons. But he's also a custom visual vendor. And, I have solicited, and despite technically he being a competitor, he cares as much as about driving Power BI adoption, making more people use. So the same passion has brought us somewhat to do. And I'm really looking forward to a lot of the questions. And our hope, less about marketing InfoRiver, more about philosophical, architectural dilemmas the customer, one, this way is right or that way is right. That's basically, provide an introduction to the visual formulas, and Marco can help us out, resolve a lot of the customers' architectural choices they have.
Thank you, Gopal. Yeah, I mean, I think as you mentioned, the almost the topic somewhat transcends just individual products, because it's more of a business need and a requirement that can exist in multiple locations, but it really does service a very specific customer need. And I know, Marco, you've had a lot of history of advocating for this. Certainly, even first time you blogged about it was at least a year or two ago. If not even like requesting things like that natively in Power BI, even before InfoRiver was coming out. Is that correct?
yeah. I mean, the concept of visual formulas is not a new topic. We just wrote something on our website in an article with Alberto, but we actually talked about that with Microsoft people, Microsoft developers, and I hope that they will do something. But we are for sure we will not see something tomorrow, because there is nothing in the plan that we have seen so far about the upcoming visual calculation features. So at least for 6 months, we know that nothing is going to happen. We see this problem that many people face, that you just want to do a simple calculation at the visual level. In Excel it's easy, and we don't have a native way to do that in Power BI. So actually, I think that what Gopal did is a component that has a lot of features, including that an engine that works locally. There are pros and cons. I'm not saying that this is the final solution for everything, but it covers many use cases where you just want to do simple calculations. So that's it's an approach that we have to consider.
Very true. And Gopal, I do know, I do see kind of a nice little process and flow chart, a kind of a learning path and everything else. So at some point, whenever you're ready, I can also flip over to that so we can maybe have some visuals to speak to on some of the concepts and other things. Do you want me to go ahead and flip over to that?
Yeah, let's just show them what give a little bit of what is a visual formula, if I can actually give a demonstration. Mm-hmm. But before I actually start the demonstration, I wanted to just touch on the fundamental problem in the industry is Marco wrote another beautiful blog about Power BI is a model-based tool, whereas if you look at Tableau or other tool, they are more report-based tool. And when we really look at the industry, a customer has a lot of use cases. So you want to do a basic standard reports, ad hoc reports, which you can call it paginated reports or operational reports. And then you want to do some drill down analysis and visualization. Then you buy another tool. So you buy another product. And I want to do my budgets and forecast. You go buy another product. And I want to do my AA and ML. You go buy another product. So there is a proliferation of tools in every organization, because of every tool has its own philosophical idea about how do we go about solving the problem. The second problem we saw across I've spent all my life in data and analytics. Wherever I go, no matter what the tool is, download to Excel is the most popular feature. And I don't think so anybody's asking the question, why do they do that? Okay, why do everybody buy a BI tool only to download to Excel? And people love the simplicity and the speed that Excel gives. And obviously, it has its. That is the reason why Excel is the most used software, and everybody looks at Excel as the inspiration. We looked at Excel as the inspiration, but Power BI lately has been extremely successful in the last 4 or 5 years. Still, even within Power BI, people download to Excel. So what we really thought was, and the Tableau fans are not really migrating their Tableau reports to Power BI, or Click fans are not coming over. What we really thought was a true successful product, if you really want to drive adoption. When we really looked at DAX, even if a very mature Power BI organization, less than 5 to 10%, maybe I may be exaggerating here, Marco, you may have a statistic. Let's say a company has 100 Power BI users, less than 10 people really knew DAX. That's one consistent theme we saw. Marco, you want to chime in? What percentage do you really feel know DAX in an organization?
It depends on the level, but the larger the company, the fewer the number, because in percentage, you don't need too many people. So usually there is 1, 2, 3 people in a company. So when the team is 10, it's 20, 30%. When the team is 100, it's just 2, 3%. So it depends. But it's unless there is a big push in, using the data in the company and using the tool like Power BI, and so there is a big push in education. Usually you don't see a knowledge other than creating simple calculate columns, simple measures with just a very, very simple, basic calculation.
Got it. So I am going to drive right into the showing what a visual formula looks like, but I wanted to just touch that, there is a lot of things we can do with it, but I will just try to get everybody ramped up to what a visual formula looks like, and then we can probably start taking questions focused around the visual formula versus DAX. So I am on Power BI service, and I'm actually installing our InfoRiver visual. For the purpose of educating everyone, I'm going to keep the demonstration focused on more educational oriented. So let's say I have a simple data set. I will do a larger data set to do this demonstration, but let me even put a hierarchy here. And one of the things that I wanted to do is I've taken an accounting statements, because one thing I noticed in accounting and finance, those where the people loved Excel and are reluctant to make a migration to Power BI, because they do a lot of ratio calculations. And so within our product, one of the things that you will notice is we wanted to provide the Excel-like user experience of formatting. We wanted to do that, and we have a natural pagination. That's something that I will be demonstrating a little bit later. The big difference between InfoRiver and Excel is a natural table, but if you look at everybody, they will go and convert it into a pivot table. InfoRiver is a natural pivot table. So one of the things from a visual formula, what is the first thing people want to do? They want to do a lot of row level calculation. So if I wanted to demonstrate row level, what a row level calculation looks like, obviously the way the toolbar is, I think I'm actually already previewing one of the new things is we are logically doing all the visual formulas because of this stream was coming up. I wanted to educate all of the visual level formulas. You can do row level formulas, you can do column level formulas, you can edit a cell, you can even input budgets and forecasts. I will try to focus a lot on here. And one of the feature is you will do an audit on all the visual level changes that you are going to do. But you can also insert a formula from a gripper here, or you can come here and you can do. So let's say at this level, you want to do a row level formula, you want to do an insert a calculated row, which is you do this, and you want to do a gross margin. So just like Excel, gross margin percentage. So one of the things is you get a reference help of all the measures and the category that you have available. You can choose net revenue, and then you can do plus, you can say C, and it's a little bit intuitive, like a somewhat similar to DAX and somewhat similar to Excel formulas. And you get a kind of a Excel-like interface. You can do that. You have options like whether you want to include. Now this is a ratio. You don't want to include it in the total. And you create this formula. And here, one of the value is you get an Excel-like highlighting. Obviously, this is not a 0, but you want to come here and change it to a percentage. And you can actually do that. So you get an Excel-like formatting help, and you get an highlighting here available to you. So one of the things that I wanted to do at a row level, you have several options. You can actually come and what if in an Excel, I want to insert a simple blank row, and I want to put a number and use for a calculation. You can absolutely do that, add a static row, and you call it shares outstanding. And again, this is nothing to do with an accounting total. You don't want to include it in the total. And here, one of the beauty of InfoRiver is we allow you to do what is called the scaled numbers. This is something that you can do that with Excel or most tools, where the way humans think is $10,000, 10K, 1 million, 2 million. Let's say I want to say 150 million. You just type in 150M. And to a scaled number, that's another huge, more friendly to the end user. Now you want to use that in your calculation. You want to do the insert calculated row, and you want to do your earnings per share. And then you want to use that net revenue divided by shares outstanding. You don't want to include it in the total. And then again, I want to come here and change the number formatting to auto. So it automatically will convert it, because it's not, because when you divide it, the scaling got, so it automatically changes to automatic scaling. So everything rounds up to the nearest 1,000. The product is very intelligent enough to do it. Now, obviously you want to put which currency, you want to put a prefix like in Excel. You want to do that. Then what do customers like to do? They want to basically move this here. Maybe the margin, they want to do it. Maybe they want to, the earnings per share, they want to maybe underline here, like in Excel, they want to do this here. And you are able to do pretty similar to what you would do in Excel. But the biggest value to the customer is we inserted 3 formulas, but that's not it. You get a full audit trail of, we assigned these measures to the data. From the data model, we assigned the accounting data sets, we did the measure, we did this. You can even document why you did the visual formula the way this is. So this is the bunch of row level calculations that you can do, but you can pretty much do a lot of row level formulas, reorder, and do this. So now,
so go Paul. I'd also just say really quickly, just throw a chart on top of that there, because you skip charts and you have 2 different scales. You have a percentage and millions, and I would say when you make this in Power BI, you can do this, but what you usually need is a disconnected table with a column that has all of that stuff on it. But then the problem is to get what you just did, to get a percentage on one row and millions on another, you'd have to use the format function, convert everything to text, and you'd basically have a grid of text in a really customized table in Power BI to get that kind of thing. So the ability to get a chart and have it skip the rows that are percentages otherwise wouldn't be feasible. So like that is a very nice, I would say, feature addition of this.
Absolutely, and in one click, we did this one. The other constant question we ask is, I don't want to disclose my my salary information to people. So you want to create a visual level hierarchy. You come to insert and you do the group, and you say confidential. You want to create a visual level grouping. You can do that as well. You can do that as well. And yeah, so you can see, and everything is tracked in the audit. And I wanted to stop here mainly because I want to do the column formulas next, because same way row level formulas, column level formulas. But in general, this itself gives a lot of speed, a lot of agility. We think just the row level formulas, the reorder, the visual level grouping alone can bring a lot of user base to Power BI. Marco,
so Gopal, just for you too, just quickly, go ahead and collapse 2 of the panes over on the right just to make the screen a little bit bigger. There you go. And if you collapse 1 more, it'll increase just a little bit, either of the wells. There you go. Just because one person was asking if you can zoom in. So if you have those out, it shrinks it. There you go.
The product itself has a visual level zooming. That's
okay, perfect. Then there you go. Then that's the other good thing too.
Yeah, we can do that as well. And I can actually go to the column formulas, but I wanted to change the data set and wanted to do that. So I just wanted to make sure everybody is comfortable with what I just demonstrated. And so I can actually do the next use case is basically more of a column level formulas and some of the things that a lot of times people expect to do. I would take another page here, and I wanted to basically keep this here, and let's just take the same accounting data set, and for the purposes of this demonstration, I'm just going to go to an auto scaling automatically. And what I would actually show is what are some of the column level calculations that are available to you. So one of the things that I can come here and I can actually insert a formula, just basically I can do. But before I even do that, I wanted to actually show some of the things that you can actually quickly enter here very quickly. A lot of times customers simply want to enter, I want to enter my budget here. Can I actually do? Because this is something that a lot of customers do. And the same concept, let's say you want to achieve about 1.5 billion, you can do it. Copy it uniformly, and then you can apply the weight of last year. This is what you would do it in an Excel formula. So in one click, we created our 2022 budget. the same visual formula at a column level formula, but we took it, we automated it, and we basically made it very easy for the end user to do it. Now, I want to perfect it. Now, obviously, you can go and basically the labor cost, we think it's going to go up by another 50 million. You just go adjust it. And we think the personal cost is also going to go up by another 500 million because the inflation. So you are able to adjust what is the net impact you can see. We also give you another option, the same concept, the visual formula, but automated is the simulation. You take the actuals or you take whatever column, you create a simulation. And here you have a nice slider effect. What if my cost of goods actually goes up? My net revenue, how much it has to go up to compensate. And it propagates basically down as well. And you can even do the adjustment at a, maybe we are going to spend less on training or more on training, and you have the Excel like adjustment. But the beauty of this is you can set version, you can say this is my plan, this is my variance or my forecast, and do a one-click variance analysis. All of this is your column level formulas happening behind the scene, because we create all these visual columns and we are doing all these subtractions, additions for you very, very quickly. So this is one level of automatic budgets, forecast, variance creations available to you. The second most important thing, I probably will actually take a non-financial data set basically and show some of the quick, some of the region hierarchy. I'll take a region hierarchy and I'll take this one. And maybe I'll just do some of the column formulas, insert. So here we have a lot of the column formulas. You see the quick formula. We literally studied the DAX patterns book and okay, what formula we can quickly automate. So we said the most used formula was a running total. One click, you get your running total and you create this column. And then if you want to do a percentage contribution to parent, absolutely you can do that. Or within the grand total, you can do that. I will come to the lead and lag. You can, if you want to do an overall ranking, you can do that. So a lot of the popular DAX patterns, we actually automated. So a customer could actually, boom, 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 they can actually do that. Now, this is kind of a very quick overview of some of the pattern. Now, there are other areas where we have automated a lot of the DAX patterns is on here in the quick roll. If it is positive, do a color. The classification is another area where we saw a lot of DAX, complex DAX being written, where you can actually say, I want to say, is it high, low, some of the things that we have actually done. Coming down to actually writing a visual formula. So like, for example, just bear with me. I need to have a dimension here on the columns. So we have 4 quarters, we have this. So when you do a column formula, insert a formula here, you get 2 options basically. Do you want to do it within each of the quarters, or a visual column means you get it at the end at a parent level. So we thought through all that. And if you do this here, you have references that you can actually do. You can say, what is this? You have access to the references. You have references to all the formulas here, basically. Average, min, max, all of this here. Or you can have the visual column and you can simply say, I want to add this plus this and this, that. So just to give you a rough idea of all the similar to row level formulas, we also have the column level formulas that you could actually do. I want to touch on the aggregation and then some of the, because aggregation is very, very important for a lot of customers is, I will take
and when you have some time too, I do have a couple questions queued up as well.
Sure, yeah. So let me just, I have a simple accounting hierarchy, and then I'm going to do a simple insert formula, and I'm going to copy this one. And I'm going to demonstrate aggregation here, visual aggregation, because this is an important topic for a lot of customers. So one of the things that a lot of customers struggled with is they have to deal with the aggregation that comes out of the DAX, but people, they want to override it. So we have an aggregation. So native is whatever is set up in DAX that just flows through. At a visual level, you want a minimum aggregation to this column. You can actually go ahead and override it. Now, you can also override it at a column level. Basically, I go back to native. But for this column, I can demonstrate, I can say I want a minimum aggregation. So it would do only for that particular column. You can change it to max. I can do to average. I could even, there are some financial customers that said, I want an accounting visual rounding. We actually did that as well. So we worked with a lot of customers over the last 2 years to, even though the core of the product was ready, we went to a lot of customers, took a lot of their challenges, use cases. How do we make it easy for them, just the way they do it in Excel? How can we give them the productivity and the speed? And we have done it. And but what I'm very curious is, I want to, obviously the audience have a lot of questions from a DAX and a model-based tool to Power BI. What can it do to drive adoption to the customers? What would stop them from adopting? Obviously, we have a lot of customers asked, okay, what about the visual formulas, the visual measures? We have robust write-back capabilities. I will touch on that when the question comes. I can even do the demonstration of it. But I think it's good to pause here and take some questions, and then we can always do a more based on whatever is the question and how this can drive adoption in organizations.
Yep, absolutely. So we have a couple of things queued up right now. So I'll just go in order of what was asked. So one of the first questions we've got is it essentially, I'm going to translate this question as, is InfoRiver something that can be used with Power BI report server instead of cloud services?
We know for sure InfoRiver works with report server customers, because we do have some customers who have already purchased. Now, InfoRiver already has over 100 paying subscribers. We have thousands of people trialing, and there are a bunch of report server customers already using it. We know for sure it works.
Perfect. All right. And now this is going to be, I think, to some of the questions that actually gets into the visual formulas, is the reusability, which is one thing that's great about DAX, is it can be used in a lot of locations. So can this new formula or gross margin be used in other places? So basically anything that you've written, or is it only found in the specific visual that you coded it into?
Yes, it is a very, very valid question. InfoRiver is more of the origin of the architecture it's more of a report-based or a visual-based architecture. The very reason you download to Excel and you apply it. So the formula is tied to the report or to the visual. Now, obviously, you can export to Excel or you can write back to a database if you want to save it. One feature we did give is we give you the ability to export the configuration, but you still will have to import the calculation to the similar measure in another. But it's not as robust as a model-based formula. So that's where, Marco, you can probably chime in on how much the reusability should play in a customer's mind.
So I think that the discussion is interesting, because every implementation of a visual calculation will face the same challenge. Even though Microsoft produces an extension to DAX or to Power BI to create visual level calculations, you will not be able to share these calculations across other reports or other models. It's in the nature of the visual calculation. It just works for that visual, for that report. But at the same time, it's also the reason why it's much simpler to do that. Now, one thing that I wanted to highlight is that in the very first demo, Gopal showed how to do calculation by a row. That is something that is very easy in MDX, which is the language used by Excel and the multidimensional engine in analysis services. With DAX and Tabular and Power BI, we don't have any ability to do that. And the syntax we had to use is much more convoluted and also less efficient, if I can say. basically limiting DAX. So one of the big structural limits of DAX is that it doesn't have any knowledge about hierarchies of items that you might have in your model. So there is no way to say I want to pick this account minus this account, which could be an aggregation of other accounts. It's absolutely a no in DAX. We can obtain the result through several techniques, but nothing is so simple like creating a formula where you just reference a row. But the interesting thing is that in MDX, which is a language available in the over-the-tower model, for example, in Excel, you can do the same. In Excel, you can create custom calculation in MDX that actually does the same. But again, it's a calculation that will work only on that pivot table. So again, we are back to the problem, the initial problem. If you wanted to create calculations that work over hierarchies, we need another feature we're not discussing here, which is not even the visual calculation, but a hierarchical calculation across hierarchies in tabular models. And we don't have, I never seen any plan of that, but this is because the business logic of saying, I want this account equal to this account minus this account, which are rows in different levels in a hierarchy, that's a feature that requires something in a DAX model that could be shared across different reports because it could be part of the model. But at the moment, we don't have this feature. And we always had this feature in MDX, by the way, 20 years ago.
20 years ago.
Finally catching up to Power BI with this, yeah. Let's see. I had a couple of others. One that was answered a little bit in the chat, but I think could also just be good to speak to this a little bit as well. It's just basically the performance of this. I would say both like kind of versus native, but then also versus like other, just like as a custom visual in general. So Gopal, like I'm happy to let you speak about that.
Yeah. So how do I put it? The performance is so when I see a data model, you can have 50 million rows, billions of rows, and all that. But today, people download it to a consumable aggregated formula. It could be 10,000 rows. It could be 5,000 rows. That's which they build up. So our performance, we have tested it even up to 100,000 rows. The aggregated data set, all of these formulas, all of them work very well. And we don't, whatever Power BI, the Power BI visual can actually, so all of this happens at a browser at a visual level. So we have seen pretty satisfying performance, more consumable, usable. So if you think you can download Excel and you do it, you should see a satisfying performance. But it doesn't go to the millions and billions of rows that you have it in the model to that level. You can't expect that in a visual formula scenarios.
Or just in a visual period. Like, I mean, you also don't want to throw a 40 column wide and like 5,000 row table into a matrix table if you're on a model. You're also going to hit performance issues there as well. I mean, it's not the number of rows. It's a combination of rows and columns. And like one thing that InfoRiver does is it has all those auto variances being calculated too. So when you have we got to consider that your grid in theory might be calculating like 30,000-40,000 like unique values into there. It might take a few seconds to load, but it's loading a lot of calculations against potentially millions of rows of data that's in that's sitting in the tabular model as well.
So I wanted to answer that question with a live demo,
Sure.
Reid. So here I have 50 states. Let's take let's take a customer name, and let's take order ID. Let's let them see when you load a large data set, what does the performance look like. Let them experience. So we loaded about 9,000 rows. You saw the performance. One of the biggest value of our product is it's very easy to do top end. It's another visual level calculation. So I do sales, one click, you do top end. You can do top 5 by order ID, but we are going to do top 5 by customer. And one of the beauty of our product is I can also do top 5 by state also. Nested ranking you can do, and you're going to see basically the report came down to only 4-page consumable manner. It put everything into automatic others. So you saw live the performance of a top kind of a top end ranking And I maybe you can chime in, Reed, or how hard the top end is to do, basically.
Well, specifically nested top ends are a lot more difficult. That's something that's hard to do natively in Power BI. Like you can easily just go to the filters pane and apply that, but then like to apply more than one, then you'd get usually get an error. A top end's already applied. You can't apply another one. So the nested one is a nice like chef's kiss that you can get from the tool, which is otherwise a lot more difficult to get out of the box.
Yeah, but to give you an idea, this is the what do you call the speed versus maybe doing it at a model level, the level of sophistication, like one click. And I see that more of people and the end user using something like this, because today they have to go and write a DAX formula, but an end user is likely to hit a button.
Exactly. I'm just reading some of the chat. It looks Matthias is, I think, wanting like a general statement from Mark on just what your overall opinion of visual formulas.
Okay, I was typing, but I can. First of all, so I mean, this visual is great from many point of views. Just because if you look at the number of features, it's just an amazing amount of work made through. I don't know how many year you spend. I mean, year time spent in developing this it's a huge number. But before anything else, I think that this is a good benchmark, right? This is possible. You can obtain this visualization. So whenever I see the limitation that I have, for example, in the matrix visualization in Power BI, this reminds me that the limitation is not the platform, the limitation is not the Windows, the limitation is not Power BI. Bold statement, right? So you want a bold statement. This is a bold statement. So the limitation is the time spent in creating the visuals. And this is the demonstration that visual can be created having amazing features. Now, it's clear that everybody, I don't think that anybody can say, oh, I don't like this visual. I don't want this visual in Power BI. I want to stay with the standard matrix. I don't care. Come on. Even just for the visualization, even just for the font that they use, even just for the stupid feature about formatting, stupid in the sense very simple compared to many other things. Everybody will like. I love this visual just because it's quick to use. Then, if we want to discuss about does it make sense to put the business logic in a custom, in a visual, in a visualization? Of course, it doesn't make sense if you want to share this business logic with other users. But again, when you have 100 users and only 2 of them are able to write DAX and 98 want to just create a simple calculation and a visual, what is the alternative? You either empower those 98 users, or you create a huge backlog to those 2 people that are able to write the DAX code that they need. And so you end up having people that, once again, export data to Excel and create a calculation in Excel. So in reality, this is a good way to avoid exporting data to Excel if the reason why you export data to Excel is to create a calculation you're not able to create in the visual. That's my point of view. Even though I still have thousands of reasons why I want to export to Excel, and I think that export to Excel will never die, will never disappear. I don't understand the people that don't want to export to Excel. The thing is, if you export to Excel for the wrong reason, that's the point. If I want a list of my customers with a view matrix because I have to do some marketing initiative, I want to export to Excel, period. No discussion. But if I just have to do I minus B, I don't need to export to Excel. Come on.
Fair. And I mean, like, you managed to get through that entire thing without also saying it depends, so I'm impressed.
I mean, it's clear it depends, but again, but there are clear use cases where you cannot say, oh, it depends. Oh, of course, it depends.
Well, yeah.
Provide me a specific use case. There are, you can make decisions.
Exactly. I think you make a good case for, as you said, like it's the Christian Wade's clicky, draggy, droppy. It's the simplicity and the ease of use that this really provides, and it's really the nth degrees level of customization that you really do wish was just available in some of those native visuals. Like just something as simple as like clicking on a column or clicking on a header and just left aligning it. Like very, very basic stuff. As that's just not available in a lot of the, because you have to apply it at the entire visual level. Like why can't I just underline this one word right here on this cell, like like an Excel like experience?
May I mention another thing? I'm used to use Excel, Word, Excel, and when I want to color a cell, I want to format a cell, I expect the ribbon to have the syntax highlighting. I don't expect the color and the font to be hidden in a list of fonts, in a list of properties in Visual. That's not because, I mean, I'm used to use this. I don't talk personally this case. I see the user struggling with that because they are used, as I am, to Excel, to Office. And in Office, we use the ribbon. And so one thing that makes this visual familiar, oh, I have the ribbon. So I know that if I want to change the font and I want to change the font size, it's there in the style as in any other Office tool. So in a way, it's strange that Power BI doesn't have this approach, right? If you want to look at this from another perspective. But again, I'm not saying, I mean, I'm used to Power BI. Power BI is very good for many other things, but you from a user perspective, this is one of the problems the user have. They don't find the properties.
Completely agreed.
Thank you, Marco. I kind of wanted to touch on another common user pain point, very, very common user pain point. It's strange how many people download the Excel because they can't do some few basic things. So I put a little bit of a hierarchical report because all I'm doing is I'm comparing my current year to prior year, and I have my 4 quarters. One of the biggest value is they want to do automatic variances, or they just compare, okay, what did I do my last year to this year? They simply can come and turn on the variances. It's that simple. With our product, they want to adjust the column width. So we give you, you won't believe me how many customers said, I want a pixel perfect column width. So we automated a lot of that. Now, a lot of customers like to see like a tight fit, which we provided. We also discussed with a lot of customers. They wanted the variance report. Pretty much everybody does it daily, compared to plan, compared to budget, and also we took effort to get the product IBCS certified, and this is something a lot of people do. I have my Q4 and I have my cumulative. I want to compare it like in one click. We give you by region, by product we do, and we automated all of the IBCS recommended certified things in a very, very pretty sophisticated one-click automated reporting. But people immediately said, hey, I really love this, but this person manages US, this person, I want to break this down to country level. And so we then said, okay, let's give that capability, one-click paginated report. Okay, I'm going to do based on the region, created a 2-page report in one click. Basically, you split US and this paginated report very quickly. Now you want to go ahead and do it by sub-region or by product. You created a 6-page report very easily. Now, the next logical question a lot of people immediately ask is, hey, will this go to Excel? Will this go in the same format like this? Now, I want to show you the PDF feature. Let's just select a column, and I want to send only my Q1 and Q2 to my PDF. And I wanted to show you the quality of the paginated report and the PDF, because so you can see a lot of the things that people do on their day-to-day job has been automated. And you want to send an email, we actually even automated that. And you can click one click, and then you can actually, when I do that, it will make me sign into the Office 365. This, we want to complete the daily workflow. Once it just, you can see now I want to send this particular US Central to this person email, and I can actually send it to my team members right there, boom. And that's the level of automation we have actually done. Now, the only challenge we have, now you can always set it up to go subscription, you can do all that. But the challenge we have been having is the philosophical debate of IT saying, oh, this doesn't fall. we support all the DAX. If the customer loves to write DAX, they can go ahead and write DAX. There is not anything stopping them from using calculation groups. So there is a lot of questions about, hey, will this work with direct query? Will this work with? So I'm sure you have a lot of the questions. One of the biggest effort we have put in over the last 2 years to make sure all the native Power BI functionality, like the drill through works, page tooltips works, all of the calculation, it's supported with the calculation groups, all of those things does work. Now,
I'll just show quickly, like, just since you're mentioning
sure.
that, I'll just cut over to my screen. There we are. Yeah, so like, this is just, standard time intelligence calculation group that I have on columns, the date group. It automatically breaks the data up. You can put charts on it, so it operates no different than anything else you'd put on the columns, where it will still run the DAX, it will run the calculation for the calculation groups natively. So it no different than putting it into a table or a matrix visual for a native visual in Power BI, other than you get all the extra features with it. So very supportive of just standard calculation groups in that sense. Switch back over to yours. There you go.
Yeah, no, thank you. Marco, your thoughts on the calculation group, because that is one question, because a lot of customers presume that custom visuals don't support custom calculation groups.
Now, the problem with the calculation groups is that the presence of the calculation group usually breaks the formatting, because they introduce dynamic formatting for the measures, and until I would say 2 weeks ago, literally, there was no API for the custom visual to properly display a measure with dynamic formatting. Now, Microsoft released a new API to support that, but now we have to wait that the custom visual will implement the dynamic formatting that is available for any measure that has a calculation group with the custom formatting. So the custom formatting is the biggest issue, but I would say that because your visual already has a lot of formatting options beyond what you have in the model, actually, I don't think that you ever suffer from this limitation, even though now you can fully support calculation group for a display format. For everything else, for a calculation, it just works. But I have seen several questions about that. Keep in mind, this is a custom visual. So what we see is a product into the product. So the visual is like another product that receives the result of a query, a DAX query, that is generated combining the levels and the measure that you included in the visual. And with this subset of data, which is like a table, imagine you obtain a table in Excel, and then on top of this table in Excel, you have this environment where you can do a lot of things. But to be honest, I don't see why this could not work with a SQL query or any query on any other database. Extract data and work. Just now, because it has been implemented within Power BI, it consumes data coming from Power BI. But if I think that the Copal could just create a isolated application with a query designer that will provide the same features, because this is actually a complete product, right? It does a lot of things. It has export to PDF, export to Excel, calculation engine. So everything is in the product. It's like you have another product embedded into Power BI. I mean, it's amazing. Again, people could say, "Oh, why why do I need this?" But if it works for what you need, why not? I mean, it's not that having additional features has never been a problem. The problem is when you are missing a feature. But if you have 10 feature that you don't use, who cares? I mean, this is my thinking.
No, thank you, Marco. You won't believe how many people ask for the cell level commenting. So you can actually add a cell level commenting. In fact, you could even, can you review why the variance is high? And you could even have somebody assign a task, basically I'm just assigning to myself and post, and then you can have somebody look at it, and you can have a collaboration, commenting collaboration. The thing that most people like is our export to Excel is completely formatted export to Excel, and with the comments. So one, you can have a collaborative comment. I apologize, it came on this other screen. So it actually, see, you have a comment and it does come with the commenting that we
You should zoom in because we don't see anything. You should try to zoom.
Yeah, can
Excel
you see
a little bit.
Can you see it? Yeah. So
something
can
more,
you see
because
it
if you want to show the comment, try to enlarge the font so that we
Yeah.
can see the cell with the comment.
Yeah, even I can't even locate it, so I'm have to.
That's another problem.
Yeah, even I can't see the thing. I have to come to the left, and I don't remember where I put in the comment. But mainly, I wanted to mention it comes with the formatting basically, and you can have a collaborative commenting. And the other constant question is we get is, hey, can I just have a kind of a column and I can place a note? So you can have a note column, and you can actually enter row level comments. You can actually do, and we can. These are reasons why people download Excel, is just because, oh, I can enter a comment at a cell level. Okay, let me just download, put a comment, and then send the file manually. So those are what we are trying to tackle here. I don't know, Reed, Marco, I shared with you, there was a customer who said, hey, I love this. I'm presenting it. I want to even do like a PowerPoint, like marking. So we added this feature.
God.
So
no, come on.
The customers are, how do I put it? They are always, we think we got everything universally, we got everything, and then we keep getting all these ideas, and they have a reason, because they are presenting into the board meeting or anything they are discussing. They want to kind of circle on the TV. They want to do that. The other very important thing is, most BI products, you have a concept of a creator or an author, and then you publish a very static report to the end user. They can't really interact with the report. They can't really do anything. The viewer doesn't have a lot of power. So one thing we wanted to address was, let me just reset it all, just so that I come over here and I go to the reading view. I want to save the report. So this is a reading view experience for the default that we recommend. So if a customer wants to actually feel, hey, this is hierarchical, but I'm going to take this and I'm going to pivot it, you come to the navigation. You can actually come back here and you can actually change it. But because we have it disabled, but I'm going to come down and I'm going to explain. So now I can come here. Even in the expand, you can have it fully expanded with expand collapse. And I can actually do the export to Excel. The end user can do it. Change the way the report looks in one way, but with the expand collapse, they can actually expand, basically.
Just zoom in a little bit again.
Okay. Yeah.
There you go.
You can actually do it, but I'm just thinking.
Enable. There you go. Yep.
Yeah, exactly. And you can actually use the expand collapse of the hierarchies, actually. So these are some of the things that customers have been craving for, that we are able to offer to our end user. That is, people who just have the view rights of the visual, we are able to do. Now, if you want to truly customize what an end user comes, so you see this 3 dots here, you can have the toolbar to a minimal size. You can have the reading view set, where you can go and say, I don't want to give this feature to the end user. I don't want them the ability to comment. Don't want them to expand collapse. So you can customize the toolbar, and you can even say, I don't want to give the end user toolbar. That's complete injustice. But if you want to do that, you can do. So we have given absolute control to organization, and what we really hope that the end user has a very good report, and they are able to actually do a lot of true self-service, or maybe even put a comment, maybe do the expand collapse on both rows and columns, and do the pivot. Why they do the pivot table or an analysis in Excel, they can do it themselves. And that's the kind of things that we are actually trying to promote to the organization. Is this is how you can drive adoption, your BI adoption in the organization.
And I also wanted to show, so far, we've mentioned a couple times, like this is a full-fledged application within one, but we haven't shown anything compact. So I just wanted to show a little bit. Let me switch over to mine. Here we go. Just like the fact that InfoRiver doesn't have to be a full-page visual. It can be used as a small compact card. So like the one that I have here on this page is InfoRiver in a smaller form that still, has all the hierarchy controls. You can customize the header. So it can be used within a report and integrated with as a smaller, I would call it like a KPI card type visual. You can use it to create a tornado chart, like a lot of different use cases besides the ones that we've typically seen, which is more of like this scenario where you have it as a full page report that just displays everything. So it can be used in both forms, small and compact, or a full end-to-end report experience, depending on the business needs and scenarios that you have.
No, thank you, Reid. And we didn't touch on the whole gamut of visualization, but if you can just show them, this is built with This is built with the InfoRiver visual.
Yep.
You can do, and we are introducing a concept of blend columns that I haven't actually shown you. And it's, how do I put it? What we envision is just like Excel, that the business end user will come up with their own set of use cases. That's the kind of flexibility that we wanted to give. So they can just build anything they want. And that's the kind of power we want to empower them. You give them good data sets, good model data sets, they are up and running, and create more artifacts and truly deriving the value out of that information that you've invested to model and bring it into Power BI data set.
Sorry, I just answered a couple questions in the chat as well. A couple of people, actually 2 questions at the same time, kind of around the length of time and effort it went into this. One person wanted to know how long did it take to build, and a follow-up question next to that was how many people are on the team actually building this?
Okay. It's a very fair question. If you really look at it, I think it makes sense to go back to our company, just to give you an idea of the company slide. Our VBX product was in SAP, and if you really go to our website and go to lumel.com website, and if you really go to the VBX site, and you see the brochure, we had over 100 visuals in the SAP ecosystem. It was the top ecosystem, but we had 100 visuals. And this was built over 7 years. And if you really look deep inside, we had an advanced table, we had an export to PDF, we had a lot of the stuff. So over the years, by serving large enterprises, we had a lot of these, okay, what do I really want? Because SAP is not delivering, so they had us make all these things. So when we came to Power BI, we basically chose to do both XVIS and so if you see that we did XVIS has about 17, 18. We brought that and we did ValQ, which had the visual. So ValQ had the visual formula, which had a 6-7 year investment into building the formula visual language in ValQ. It had the allocations, the simulations that you saw. And we have, as a company, we have about 140 employees. We are constantly hiring. Maybe we have about, but at least 100 dedicated employees between developers and testers and product managers and a lot of the management team, and talking to the customer support and all that. So I would almost say 4 years. I haven't even showed the InfoRiver charts visual. Maybe so the InfoRiver has had at least close to 100 FTE effort for full time for 2 years, but 6-7 years of derivative work that we have done, and we were able to put it together successfully. The success is, originally we were focusing on building an IBCS certified visualization and library. We were working on a financial reporting solutions in an isolated manner. We were working on a paginated report in an isolated manner. We were working on planning, budgeting, and forecasts separately. We were working on write-back scenarios separately. We were able to put it all together successfully. And once we put it together, that's where we started working with the community leaders like MK, Reid, Matt, and Marco, and a number of others. Even Parker Stevens chipped in whenever he had time. So a lot of experts did help. A lot of customers have worked closely. We have several customers who helped shape this. But I would almost say 2 years of just polishing and perfecting has gone on. Even though the product itself was ready 2 years back, just to make sure we had all the bits and pieces. Because one of the challenge we learned over the years is once you ship a product, the ability to enhance and add features significantly slows down. And that's one part of the problem for the Power BI team is you have a huge customer base and you have to worry about regression. That itself slows you down like 10x, 20x. So one, the time span of knowing what all the customers, ours is more of a customer oriented product management. We let the customer and then we look at how do they use it on a daily basis. And we go down to an analyst level, not just an executive or a project sponsor. We try to understand. And then the years and years of actually serving large customers has helped us tremendously. So I would almost say our company has benefited, our developers have benefited, because we used to have a consulting company that was only doing data warehousing and visualization and reporting. And all of them used to sit in the same office. So they have seen what do people build. So our developers, when you talk, they understand BI. That's a huge differentiation compared to other companies.
Yeah, I mean, it clearly shows the amount of agility that this has and has evolved in just the last 12 to 24 months has been impressive, but it's obviously a very large team behind pushing through these changes very quickly and effectively. I had a question from earlier from Nar, who I used to work with at Power Pivot Pro, but he actually had a question on wanting to know if there was any plan for Microsoft, like by the product or integrated as a native visual.
May I ask you another question? Okay, I think that Gopal cannot answer because if the answer was yes, he will not be able to say. If the answer is no, he probably don't want to say. So, but I would like to add a consideration. If I was Microsoft, the main concern for me will not be buying the visual for the customer. So sorry, I am very cynical now. But the main concern I would have is to remove this technology from the market, if you know what I mean. Because the problem is that in Power BI, this technology has a value, but outside of Power BI, it has much more value for other competitors, micro competitors. So the main reason, to me, it would be a no-brainer. So if I'm a technical person, but I like also to, follow the market and see other things, even though it's not my specialization. But that would be almost a no-brainer because it's the too big investment for other companies to reach this level. There are too many features that are close to Office. There are too many features that could empower other vendors. So that would be my no-brainer action. And I'm not suggesting anything. I mean, this is just my, independent thought about it. I'm not trying to convince anyone. I just see that, I think that other vendors would be very interested into the technology.
I mean, platform exclusivity would be a huge value for Microsoft for sure. Go ahead, Gopal.
Yeah, but
I
think. I think at least a lot of I've been very, very fortunate to have tremendous success both on the consulting side of the business, and I've had great employees. One thing what really is very important is, although I would like to release a SaaS version, something that we have it planned to do is, because I fundamentally believe a live connectivity because cloud data warehousing is the future. So while we will always be in Power BI, because we don't want to introduce another tool and cause a customer pain, and because customer is already, the whole reason why we invested and the passion is to give a customer empathy. Because what is the point of saying, hey, here is another great product, buy yet another BI product? I don't want to be the root cause for it. Our goal is to drive maximum adoption, reduce the amount of tools customer have, and the customer empathy is very, very important. but I also have a concern is, can it reach the level of potential as a custom visual inside Power BI is also my concern, because there is a negative perception about custom visuals, rightly or wrongly, because the first several years of the kind of visuals that came to the Power BI market, and now the quality of visuals have definitely stepped up. But that's my main concern. As a custom visual, will it reach its true potential? So it's to be seen.
Exactly. Check in again in 6 to 12 months.
Yeah, I think that one limitation is that a custom visual cannot interact with the remaining part of Power BI ecosystem. So you only receive, you cannot send, you cannot communicate with the visuals, you cannot communicate with the model, you are isolated from the model. So yeah, there are many limitations for, that would be a different extension for the custom visual that I didn't see so far.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think, Mark, we are trying to tackle that challenge with the write back. So we are heavily investing in write back, and we can now write back whatever you have done, and then use direct query and the composite model to bring it back. So we think we can tackle that.
Gopal, the more you develop these features, the more you are a danger for Microsoft, which is fine for your company. But the idea is that because your visual doesn't rely on features that are specific to Power BI, that visual is easy to implement in another solution from another vendor. This is what I'm saying, and this is the reason why strategically I will close you in a room if I was in Microsoft, and I will try to find a way to avoid that this technology goes to some vendor. That's mine. And I don't understand why this didn't happen. Maybe this already happened. I don't know, but yeah. I cannot stop me saying it. Yeah.
So I wanted to touch on the reusability aspects of the visuals. So you see all the measures that got introduced into the building this report is all here, all the calculated column. So you can only write back the changes. You can include and exclude subtotals with the data, with the comments. And you see the destination. You can write back. By the way, we are coming out with the feature to write back. I do not know why I'm not able to do this here, add a destination. So I probably will have to show you on another report, basically. We have added a lot of write back destinations, basically. Just apologize, I have to start over.
A big one is the ability to write back to OneDrive or SharePoint, which a lot of people were wanting.
Correct.
I wouldn't call it a best practice, but it's available if you have limitations within your ecosystem of your company to not write back to a relational database.
Yeah, I think the write back is the most popular investment right now. I have like close to 10 developers actively working on the write back right now, and it's something that I really think just to demonstrate the write back. I let's say I quickly enter a plan, and I quickly create a variance column, and I'm going to write back, and I'm going to show you with the comments. I'm going to put a simple note, so you can see with the comment it can actually go, and I'm going to share. I'm going to write back, because this is, and you can do the write back in the reading mode, which is something that's coming. But one of the vision is to solve the problem. Can I send the data back to other native visuals? That is what we are trying to solve. You see this destination. Hopefully I can add a destination. Yeah, it's coming. So you see, we can write back to Azure SQL. We can write back to SQL Server, OneDrive. Let's choose OneDrive. I could write back to Snowflake, and I could write back to SharePoint Teams. I'm just going to just show you the OneDrive quickly, how simple it is. The value is, I'm going to do the one time, and I'm going to save the destination, and I'm going to come back here, and then I'm going to write back, and I'm going to write back, and boom. So you just see the ease of use of the writing back. So
the write back that you are showing is the back. So the data that is generated by the write back action that you apply to the visual. So technically, if you had a lot, now you have only 2 levels, but you had 4 levels, you would have had the allocation across the 4 levels, right?
Correct. Appropriately allocated, and you do that. And that's where I'm thinking the composite model, where you have the whole data and you build it with a direct query. And I'm sure we can, again, that is something that I plan to show in a webinar. And because that's where a lot of our advanced use cases are coming, and a lot of customers are saying, oh, finally I can convert a lot of my old Excel marks into proper Power BI solutions. So we really believe, based on the amount of customer interest and the amount of customer POCs we are doing right now, is I think we have hit the mark with the customers.
I would agree. You spent a lot of time listening and certainly absorbing feedback. I don't know. Does your current version show that the new little summarization things at the bottom when you highlight a few cells? That was something I just saw like in a build earlier this week. Like, oh, that it's obvious,
the marker mode, the marker mode.
When you highlight a few cells and you have a sum, min, average, max.
Median. Yeah. They added it last night. Like in Excel. That's the
just like Excel, yeah. It shows you the sum of any highlighted values, yeah.
Oh no, you can, if you add 2 cells, it would do the 2. So it would take 2 of them into consideration.
Exactly. But it's all those little things that I'm assuming you're just getting like it's from various customers and feedback of just like, hey, Excel has this, can you add that? And then it shows up like a week later.
Yes, and let me show you something. I think you all have seen this feature. Let me just go to a simple spreadsheet. Like you all have seen this before. The cascading filter. We are finally going to include it.
There you go.
So this is a bidirectional slicer. We think we are going to include it, basically, where the slicer, I don't know, whatever you call it in the Power BI terminology, we think we are going to probably ship it with our next iterative release, where a customer could be on a home tab, and all I want to do is I just want to, quickly slice and dice my information very quickly, basically, bidirectional slicer, and you can keep it into a table format, and you can clearly, it's very intuitive to do. You can do an alert based, you can set up ranges, and you can have, okay, this one is red, let me select this. So more like an alert induced with, so the beauty is this is a measure filter also. So a lot of slicers you see, you don't see a measure. So we are able to do it because we are able to do this at a visual level. So we are able to give this functionality as well. So this customer should expect in our next iterative release. But the main thing we have constantly, I didn't touch on the navigation style. This is something a lot of customers said, can I do a step to layout that I'm used to in Excel? And can I do a kind of a collapsed drill down layout? Can I do that? Oh, something I didn't show you is you can actually pin multiple rows, basically, with our product. Actually, you can actually pin. And if you are, let's say you are on an expanded mode, you go to the next page. So think of pins as your freeze rows. So we have that. And you can do the both row pinning and column pinning. Let's say I have a time dimension here, like month. It's pretty wide. And you want to come and pin February, you can actually pin. So I can do a column pinning as well, basically. So maybe you shouldn't have done the row pinning, so it's kind of misleading. But you get an idea, basically, that we are listening to the customers, and we are able to add a lot of capabilities on row pinning, column pinning. Multiple columns can be pinned, actually. So in Excel, you can do only one. So, and I think the filter level at a column level is also, each column is also available. So it's, how do I put it? Being very fortunate to get requirements. I don't know, maybe I should write a book. Okay, Marco asked this feature, MK asked this feature. You have, I gotta say, our QA system has most number of bugs from read. So he's the top bug producer in our QA system. He works directly with our team, sends directly. He has access to our thing, and he does it. And I want to really thank Matt. He has put in a lot of effort to make our formula language look more similar to Excel and DAX, actually. So Matt Ellington has helped tremendously to perfect the formula language, especially on the usability and that. And the community, Power BI community, is phenomenal. So one thing I realized, as soon as I realized, I told, okay, if they ask for something, prioritize it. Maybe they give you best of what the customer gives you, best of what we think, but they have more of a much broader experience. So we have always tried to prioritize whatever has come as a requirements from the MVPs, and it has helped us tremendously, actually, in helping prioritize. Because a lot of times a customer asks this feature, another customer asks this feature, we are confused, and you all have helped with the prioritization tremendously, and luckily we are able to allocate resources. And I wanted to kind of thank that the product, if people like the feature, I'm able to say, hey, you know what, Reed suggested this feature, and thanks to you all again.
Yeah, absolutely. I actually just took a note down of a couple of new features ads that I have that I'll actually suggest later that hopefully will show up in 2 weeks.
Yeah. So the idea place, Power BI idea place is huge, huge, huge. I think we closed more than 1,000 ideas, and I don't know, 50,000 votes. We kind of heavily relied on the customer voice. I will tell you, there are a lot of ideas that have like only 1 or 2 votes. They don't see the light of the day, but they have a maximum impact. We were able to even address those.
Oh, that's fantastic. I will say that the people in the chat, we're at about 10:17, so we'll probably wrap up here sometime soon. If there's any remaining questions, drop them into there. I know I've seen a couple percolate up, but otherwise, I think this has been very informative. I've certainly appreciated, Marco, some of your insights on kind of the use cases and really like the fact that this can exist in tandem, with Power BI. It really does come down at the end of the day to the environment, the requirements, skill levels, and everything else. And there are times where at a visual level, like this service is exactly what it needs to do, which is for a visual, this allows for quick and easy calculations that don't require understanding the complexity of the model to be able to, to just look and compare or aggregate the values that you see on a page. So I personally am very happy that we're now starting to see custom visuals like this show up that allows people to just to plug in hopefully clean data and start to analyze it really quickly.
Thank you.
Absolutely. And yeah, nothing else is queued up at the moment. So Gopal, I don't know if there's anything else you wanted to show or mention. I know this is something that can also easily be talked about for 6 to 12 hours because of how many features that are in here. But I think we've covered a lot of good use cases for the day, and certainly I've been very appreciative of Marco for his time as well to help curate some of those technical questions.
No, I really want to thank you all, and there is a big investment going on with our InfoRiver charts visual. I would save it for another day. So we are looking at it holistically. That's another ocean. We have been building it for 4 years, another separate team, part of the InfoRiver team. But so we are looking at disrupting the reporting industry. We are looking at disrupting the visualization space. But we are committed to actually truly maximizing adoption within the Power BI community. How can we get people to, because there is so much investments into the data sets, Power BI data models, and so that's why we feel that we can quickly hit the mark, and maybe we will talk about. I have not even given access the InfoRiver charts to anybody outside our company, because we are truly trying to make a difference, and it's that is something that probably in a month or 2 we will unveil. But I wanted to thank you all, our employees, who have great attitude, worked patiently for several years. A lot of times you tend to lose patience. You want to ship your baby out, and but I want to, because they also were patient, and the level we are able to reach today is also, we were very patient, we were able to listen, So I think I also want to thank our developers, our testing team, and they listen to everybody. It's easy to get frustrated because we would do something and then we would completely change it 1 week later. Like, for example, we are spending the nth time perfecting the toolbar, trying to put everything into the right place to drive more adoption. And I want to thank our early adopter customers and prospects. I just hope this is all for the good of the industry, and we are truly committed to make a difference, basically. Thank you again. Thank you for your support. Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, then I'll go ahead and wrap up. Thank both of you for coming on today. Everyone, thanks in the audience for this. I think at our peak, we were at about somewhere between 95 to 100 people streaming into this. So that's good, healthy numbers for this today. And a very active and lively chat. And also thanks to MK and everybody else who's just been helping out with the chat questions today. So this has been great. Marco, again, thank you for being on, and have a great rest of your evening and weekend. And as well for you, Gopal, enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much for watching. Please consider hitting that like and subscribe button. And if you want to help support this channel, take a look at our channel memberships as well. And last but not least, please consider sharing this video on social media to help pass on this awesome content and to help the channel grow. So until next time.